Grand Rising, everybody. Welcome to another edition of hashtag I'm Gonna Say It. I'm your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, Mr. Breaking News, reporting to you live from the newsroom. How's everybody doing? Give you a few minutes to come in and let some more people come in the room. Thank you all for joining and spending time with us. No, you did not miss a show yesterday. We didn't have one. I took the day off yesterday just to I guess you could say emotionally recoup. I guess you could say, but no, you didn't miss anything. On my way out, 25, welcome in. Rosemary Jones, 6, welcome to the live. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Welcome to hashtag I'm Gonna Say It. If it's your first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we surely hope to see you uh, come back and join us again. Blueprint 24, good morning. We're actually starting a little bit early today. It's like, 5 or 6 minutes early? So I can understand some people may not be here yet, but they'll catch on. We're gonna start and they'll join in. To look at two, welcome. Jack, welcome to the live. Tina Faye, welcome to the live. I see you, T. Welcome in, T. Tommy Bush, KJBU 76. Thank you for joining hashtag I'm Gonna Say It. All right, all right. We got some people in here, so we're gonna go ahead and start. First and foremost, for those that are new here to the show, hashtag I'm gonna say it. It's where we take ongoing celebrity news and sometimes political stuff and sometimes just real life issues that's going on today, and we speak on it. Now, when it comes to the celebrity things, like I said, sometimes we are conspiracy heavy. We're just giving our point of views on what we think is going on. But in the meantime, while doing that, we also provide you with facts. You know, things that's actually going on right now, and so we try to give you the source of where we got what we're saying from, so that way you can go back and you can check it yourself, and you'll know that what we're saying is true. This person said that, or this is where it's being reported at, right? And so today we're going to do the same thing, but today's going to be a little different because I want to play some audio for you all. And of course, we're talking about Puffy Jacket, all right? And if you're new here, just know we try to play charades too, like, because we try to be careful on saying names, so, just to protect the integrity of the live. Everything here is completely and utterly is entertainment purposes only and educational. But definitely entertainment purposes only, okay? We like to put out there that Puffy Jacket has not admitted to any guilt on any crime that he's been uh, accused of being guilty of. He hasn't said that he was guilty of anything. He does deserve his day in court to be judged by jury and having final say by the judge. But I will say, I did say a while back that things were going to get worse before it got better for him. And we did say that after that court appearance in February that he had, that we think that things would start unraveling more, coming out more. And I think that's been true. A lot of more things have came out since that court appearance in February. Now, I also say when I'm referring or talking about a victim, I have to say alleged victim. But when I say alleged, I don't want you to think that I'm diminishing or downplaying the supposed victim. I'm not doing that. I'm just using the word alleged in order to protect the integrity of our show, right? Because at the end of the day, until we are presented with um, actual concrete facts of these things happening, such as video evidence and stuff like that, then we can't say whether it's real or true or not, right? So we'll say alleged. Now we can have our own opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. So what we say here, you may not like. In fact, that's one of the opening disclaimers that I have on my show. I'm your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, Mr. Breaking News, and welcome to hashtag I'm Gonna Say It. And the show is called hashtag I'm Gonna Say It, is because I'm gonna say it. Some things I say you're gonna like, some things I say you're not gonna like. But either way, I'm gonna say it, right? But I want you to know that we all are entitled to our own opinion, right? And we don't have to, get into any, immature altercations over that. But the first thing I wanted to talk about dealing with Puffy Jacket, within the past couple of days, I've seen some videos about a young lady by the name of Emily Collins, and it is alleged, and again, there's no slight on her for that, right? But it's alleged that she is one of Puffy Jacket's victims, who was fortunate enough to escape. And so I don't know, man. Like I put her, I tried to search for her name and just to, get some backstory on her and stuff like that. But I keep coming with this one video. There's a couple of pictures of a young lady, but here's what I want to do. I'm going to play some of it, and I hope you all have time to spend with, but I'm going to play some of the audio of her recanting how she ended up becoming one of his alleged victims, and how she got coerced into this. And so I'm just going to let that play for a few minutes, and yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Put a 1 in the live if you can hear me.
So when a stylish woman named Claire approached me after a local fashion show in my town, saying I had the potential to be a star, it felt like the universe was finally listening to me. Claire was charismatic and seemed to know everything about the fashion world. She told me that she worked as a scout for big agencies and that there was a perfect opportunity for me in New York, an exclusive casting for promising young models. When I showed...
Hold on, real quick. I want to ask a question. Like, not necessarily ask a question. I want to make a just a general statement. In listening to this right off the bat, now we've already heard about the KK lady, and I can't remember her real name, but hold on, what is the one that he said is his right hand? Christina Corum. We've heard about her allegedly being like a facilitator or an assistant in helping him do these heinous things, allegedly, right? But now she just said Claire. Now, I've never heard of Claire before. So if anybody know of a Claire, if you've heard of Claire throughout this Puffy Jacket ordeal, let me know. But I think we should find out who Claire is, and I think we should talk to Claire.
Showed the invitation to my parents, they were hesitant. But Claire seemed so professional that she ended up winning their trust. He promised it would just be a chance to show my talent. When we arrived at the hotel in New York, I was blown away. It was the most luxurious place I had ever seen, with a facade that shone like gold in the nightlight. The main hall was full of girls my age, all as nervous as I was. It was impossible not to feel like something big was about to happen. But even in the midst of that glow, something seemed off.
Now, if you followed this whole story, you know that, some other alleged victims said that they came to a hotel that was nice. And in fact, we've mentioned some of the names of the hotels that's been in past shows. We've mentioned names of these hotels that some of these incidents allegedly took place, right? And then also, I didn't go back in the beginning, but at the beginning she states she's 16 years old. And then if you just notice, she said when she got to the hotel that there was a room with girls, filled with girls her age. And listen, it hadn't came out that Puffy Jacket had any dealings with any um, underage kid. Hey, good morning, Jessica. How you doing? Thank you for that heart me. It's been alleged, but it hadn't came out yet. Just want to point that out. That's an intricate thing. Say it right there. Let's roll.
There were no photographers, cameras, or any sign of a professional environment. When I asked Claire, she responded with a quick smile. "Everything will be explained in due time, dear." When it was my turn, Claire led me to a room on one of the upper floors. It was small and full of mirrors, with a simple table in the center. The atmosphere, which had previously seemed...
Hold on, y'all.
No offense.
So
But if you're paying more than $30...
let's I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's actually, is she using the name to cover up? Like, because everything she's saying is what they have accused the quorum lady of doing, right? I don't know. I don't know, people. But let's just let's continue going. Let's just follow this through here.
The glamour of downstairs was gone, replaced by something I couldn't understand. A man entered the room. He was tall, dressed in an impeccable suit, and had a cold smile that made me uncomfortable. "Are you ready to be part of the fashion world, Emily?" he asked as he analyzed my every move. I tried to look confident, but something about him made me want to run away. He put a contract on the table, full of fine print that I couldn't fully understand. "Sign here. This is the beginning of your future," he said, his deep voice echoing in the room. When I hesitated, he leaned closer, as if to intimidate. I started to feel trapped. I asked if I could think better of it, or show my parents the contract. But he laughed in a way that made me freeze. "That's not necessary. Claire already took care of everything for you." I pretended I needed to go to the bathroom and hurried out of the room. My heart was racing, and every step I took seemed to take me further from an exit. When I tried to go back to the main hall, I noticed that the hallways were full of security guards. They didn't say anything, but the looks on their faces made it clear that I shouldn't be wandering around. That's when Claire appeared again. She no longer had the friendly smile she used to have. Now she held me tightly by the arm, as if reminding me that there was nowhere to run. "Don't worry, sweetheart. You're exactly where you're supposed to be," she said with disturbing calm, leading me back into the room. It was...
Can you all hear the audio okay? Just put a 1 in the live if you can hear the audio. I stopped it there to say this. In the video, and by the way, I forgive me, I forgot to tell you the source of this video. If you go on YouTube and you look up investigation stories, it's on there. Okay, investigation stories. And the when you see it in the beginning, the person that she's the lady that she's saying is Claire. They have well, it looks like an African American lady, right? But now she's saying Claire, and it's a another lady that kind of resembles, I guess, what KK would look like. This is about right now. I'm talking about this, and again, I'm gonna say alleged, but you know, you come in here frequently. You know when I say alleged, I'm not slighting the victim, but it's an alleged victim that escaped from Puffy Jacket, and her name is Emily Collins, and she's telling her story as far as what she experienced while she was there, what she saw, stuff like that. And so we're just listening to it. Now, I tried to look her up, and I saw a couple of pictures, and this one video keeps coming up. So I don't know, but this is allegedly her words.
It was at that moment that I realized the truth. This wasn't a casting, and the world of fashion that I dreamed of so much was just a facade. My nightmare was just beginning. When Claire took me back to that room, I felt a weight in my chest that I had never felt before. The door closed behind me, and the click of the latch seemed to echo endlessly in my head. The man was still there, waiting for me, but now there was something else in his gaze, something I couldn't identify, but that made me feel like prey being watched by a predator. "Let's try again," he said, pushing the contract toward me. His fingers tapped the table, as if he had all the time in the world to wait. I, on the other hand, felt time was going by too quickly, as if every second wasted was leading me to something much worse. I picked up the pen, but my hands were shaking. With every word I read on that paper, the more confused and terrified I became. The clauses were vague, but carried a frightening tone. Total commitment to the agency, reserve of all image and identity rights, acceptance of additional conditions, at the sole discretion of the managers. Nothing made sense, and everything felt wrong. I don't know if I can sign this right now," I mumbled, trying to sound firm. His reaction
If
was
she's young
immediate.
like that, she shouldn't
He
have
laughed,
signed a
but not in a
contract
friendly
anyways.
way. It was a cold, cruel laugh, as if I had said something absurdly naive. "Emily," he said, leaning forward, "you're already here. This is the kind of opportunity girls like you don't get twice. To sign or not, well, you don't have a choice, you know?" My heart raced. I looked around, desperately looking for a way out, but the room had no windows, just those walls covered in mirrors that reflected my own panicked expression. I tried to calm down, but the air felt heavier, like the room was closing in around me. Before I could respond, the door opened again, and 2 men entered. They were large, dressed like security guards, but their gazes were as blank as they were frightening.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Let's delegate on that. Now, in past cases, in past lawsuits that's been filed, the alleged victims have mentioned that Puffy Jacket security helped or engaged in the heinous acts as well. So now, when did this says 3 months ago. This came out, and the reason why I'm trying, because somebody could, man, I don't want to do that. If it's true, if what she's saying is true, I don't want to slight her, but you know, it's one of the things where we got to play devil's advocate here, and it's you know, people could have heard stories and then put their spin on it and then say, I don't know. A lot of things that she's saying has been put in different lawsuits, though, right? One thing has been put in different lawsuits, though, right? What do you all think? Do you think this is authentic? Do you all believe her story? What do you think? I'll let you think about it for a minute.
They didn't say anything. They just stood there, as if they were waiting for something. The man behind the desk gestured to them, and one of them walked over to me. "Come on, you need to prepare yourself," he said, his voice as impersonal as his expression. "Prepare for what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but it came out shaky. "You'll see," he replied, without explaining anything.
Hey, good morning,
Claire
Carlos. How
reappeared
you
in the
doing,
hallway
brother?
as the men escorted me out of the room, but she was no longer the elegant, friendly woman who had approached me at the show. She seemed indifferent, almost impatient, like I was just another item on her to-do list. They led me down a narrow, dimly lit hallway, away from the main hall. The sound of distant voices and laughter disappeared with each step. The hallway seemed endless, as if we were moving away not just from the party, but from the real world. "Where are we going?" I asked, but no one answered. The walls seemed to get closer, the air grew colder,
Good.
and the
Peace and
silence
blessings
was
to you,
broken
brother.
only by the sound of our echoing footsteps. Finally, we reached an iron door. One of the men opened it with a key, revealing a space that seemed the opposite of the hotel's luxury. It was a dark room, with concrete walls and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Inside, there were other girls, all sitting silently, with scared expressions. "Come in," one of them said, lightly pushing me inside. I wanted to run, scream, do anything, but something in their eyes told me it would be useless. When the door closed behind me, I knew my nightmare had truly begun. The other girls looked at me, but no one said anything. Some had red eyes from crying. Others seemed almost apathetic, as if they had already accepted that there was no way out. I sat in the corner, trying to process what was happening. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it was going to explode.
I just don't know. And that's what gets me more than anything, because we hate to even think about someone, even, and especially a child, but anybody, going through any experience like this. But I'm having a hard time finding any information on it when I go and do my research. So this is one time I'm most definitely am baffled. I'm baffled by it. I just don't know. I just don't know, people. I don't know. Um, I don't know about this one. And again, if it's true, I'm not diminishing her story and her accounts at all. I don't want to seem insensitive. I'm not doing that. But like I told you in the beginning, we have to make sure we keep an open mind about these things now. And if we haven't seen evidence, then, and I mean concrete evidence, then we cannot. It's just hard to say, yeah, boom, for sure. This is the deal. This is true. So
The only thing I knew at that moment was that I was trapped, not just physically, but emotionally as well. They had created
hey
an
Marie, how you
invisible
doing?
prison
Good
where
morning,
every
bestie.
choice seemed to lead to the same place. Deeper into a nightmare I didn't know if I could escape. I didn't know how long it had been since I was placed in that room with the other girls. It seemed like time didn't exist in there.
This is also
The air
following
was
along the
heavy,
lines of what
filled with
Allie
fear and
Carter
despair.
says, right?
Every now and then, one of the girls would be called out by someone outside. They
Where'd you
never
go
came
to?
back. The tension in the room
Oh,
was
you said you went to
unbearable,
Florida. What part of
and
Florida?
every sound of footsteps in the hallway made my heart race. When it was finally my turn, I heard the door open with a metallic creak. Two men entered, both with expressions as cold as before. "Get up," one of them ordered. My mind screamed to resist, to fight, but my body was paralyzed by fear. They pulled me firmly by the arm, taking me out of the room without giving any explanation.
Oh, okay.
I was led through the hotel
My son
hallways
lives in
again,
Orlando.
but this time, I realized we were going to another part of the building. The hallways became darker and quieter, away from the sound of music or laughter coming from the party. Everything seemed calculated, as if
Well,
they
he's my
wanted to make me
bonus
feel
son, but yeah,
completely
he lives in
isolated.
Orlando too.
"Please, I don't want this,"
Along
I said,
my kid's
my
mother,
voice
his
shaking,
mother, her
but
sister
they didn't
stays there
respond.
too.
It was like I was nothing more than an object, something they could move from one place to another without
So if
any
you ever
empathy.
want to go stay at
As we
Margaritaville
turned a
Resort,
corner,
let me know so I
I
can
saw a
let them
double
know.
metal door in front of
Get you
us.
taken care of.
One of the men used a card to open it, revealing a staircase that appeared to descend underground. My body froze. I didn't want to go down those stairs, but one of the men pushed me hard, causing me to trip on the first step. "Don't make this any harder," he said, his voice low but full of menace.
Okay, what do y'all think so far? You're welcome. You're so welcome. What do you think so far in listening? Okay, because a lot, like we said, the other people that are alleged victims have kind of given similar accounts. Uh, Allie Carter said some things that's parallel with this young lady's story. Um, where do we go from here, guys? What do we think? And I mean, now we're about to get to the I guess the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what she's saying, right? Because now she's going down in that dungeon sort of thing, basement dungeon kind of thing, and Some folks have said that there was tunnels. I don't. Again, it's to you. It's up to you what you believe and what you don't believe. Um, and so by her saying she's being led down to this, and it looks like a dungeon kind of looking thing, but a lot of this is for the dramatics and stuff. I don't know exactly what it looked like, but I wonder if it's along those same lines.
The stairs seemed endless, each step echoing off the cold, damp walls. Down there, the environment was completely different from what I had seen until then. There was no more luxury, just concrete walls, dim lighting, and an unpleasant, musty smell mixed with something metallic. When we reached the bottom of the stairs, I saw another door. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it was going to explode. They opened it, and inside was a large room, lit by
Hey,
a
Deb,
single
good
lamp
morning,
that
bestie.
swayed gently from the ceiling. In the center of the room, there was a metal chair,
Okay,
and
we
around
pray
it,
that he
several
gets to
people were
feeling better.
gathered. Some wore expensive suits, others casual clothes, but they all had something in common: cold and calculating looks. Among them, I recognized two faces I had only seen on television. Influential figures in music and entertainment, men who seemed untouchable to the outside world. My mind refused to believe what was happening. I shouldn't be there. I was just a 16-year-old girl with the dream of being a model. How had this turned into a nightmare? A woman approached me. She had a flawless face and wore an elegant dress, but her presence was as menacing as that of the men around her. "Welcome," she said with a hollow smile. "You are special, Emily. You will learn that the real world is not like the fairy tales you imagined."
This live.
So, again, other people have said that. They've said that there was a lady who assisted him, and of course, it recently it came out to be the KK lady. But then there's also been speculations that Jenny from the Block, if y'all know who that is, Jenny from the Block, whom Puffy Jacket had a relationship with at one point in time, assisted. So I don't know. I just don't know people. Now, what gets me, she said there was two faces that she'd seen on TV. There's musical influencers, like they were big in the music thing, and that makes me wonder if it was not only was it Puffy Jacket and the man who was part owner of the record company dealing with rocks. Because remember that the 13-year-old, well, she was 13 at the time. She said it happened. She came out and said that they raped her, those two. And there's been ongoings with that as far as her, one of these men having private investigators showing up to that young lady's house and basically threatening her to drop the guy with the, not drop, but to say that the guy who was co-owner of a record company dealing with rocks didn't do that to her. Let's see. Let's go a little more.
But my voice wouldn't come out. I wanted to run, but I was surrounded. One of the men pushed me onto the metal chair, where my hands were quickly tied. My attempts to resist were futile. "You belong to us now," said one of the men, a cruel smile on his face. At that moment, I knew it wasn't just a mistake or a misunderstanding. I had been kidnapped, taken to a place where no one would find me, where my voice would be silenced, and where I would be just another pawn in a macabre game. The first few days in captivity were a whirlwind of fear and confusion. I didn't know where I was, nor why I had been taken. The only thing I quickly understood was that the initial luxury of the hotel had disappeared, giving way to cold, impersonal, and oppressive environments. But the worst of all was realizing who was behind everything: P. Diddy. I had seen him before, walking through the ballroom surrounded by people who admired and feared him.
Because she said his name, so I just want to get out. I want to make sure I put out there that she said his name, TikTok. I didn't. She did. Okay, so Want to get that out there because I don't want to end the show and then have a flag and saying I didn't. All right, she did. This is her story, allegedly. Allegedly. All right, everybody. Remember, this is all alleged.
I never imagined that someone so powerful, an icon that so many people respected, could be linked to something so horrible. Now, he was not just a distant name, but a presence that dominated every corner of that place. They kept us in isolated rooms, with concrete walls and simple metal beds, as if we wanted to be treated like humans. We heard P. Diddy's name constantly. He was the leader of that scheme, the man who gave the orders and controlled everything. Every decision seemed to pass through him, and his power was inescapable. "You are here because Mr. Combs believes in your potential," the guard said, repeating the name as if it were a sacred title. But the truth was that he saw no potential in us, just means to feed his ego and maintain control over a perverse scheme of trafficking and exploitation. Every now and then, he would appear. When he entered the room, the air became...
This is the
Okay, so now with that, hey, when she says that, I mean, because there's been said, like we said, about the security guards holding a person's hands while he was raping them and stuff. Like, I mean, that's on the documentary. It's on the documentary where, and I can't remember the young lady's name, but remember her boyfriend worked at the Bad Boy Record Company, and so she says that Puffy Jacket called her up there and said that he was like wilding out or something. So he came and picked her up and took her up to the studio so she could basically calm her boyfriend down. And only when she got up there, it was basically a setup, per her words. And Puffy Jacket ended up raping her. So here we are again. She's saying people was holding her hands and tying her up and things of that nature. I mean, it's a lot of things that she's saying that has been said in different lawsuits. I don't know, people.
which seemed to carry a silent threat. "You are lucky to be here," he said, with a tone that mixed sarcasm and cruelty. The events they organized were just covers for something much darker. I was taken to luxurious parties where I had to pretend I was there by choice, smiling for cameras while being closely watched. These parties, always controlled by P. Diddy and his associates, were a theater carefully staged to hide the true purpose. He seemed to be everywhere, moving the pieces of this macabre game with frightening confidence. The years passed in a blur of pain and silence. I was just 16 years old when I was kidnapped, and my body and mind began to bear scars that would never disappear. P. Diddy made us believe there was no way out. His influence was so great that even if we managed to escape, who would believe us? He was untouchable, above suspicion, and he knew it. When I tried to resist, even in the slightest way, the punishment was immediate. I once refused to participate in one of these events. Claire, who was just another pawn in P. Diddy's game, came up to me with a fake smile. "You know what happens to those who disobey, don't you?" she said. Shortly afterwards, I was taken to a dark room where I was locked for days. P. Diddy never had to raise his voice or hands. His control network was so effective that all it took was a gesture for his henchmen to do the job. But even in the midst of this horror, I began to plan. Every movement of the guards, every locked or unlocked door,
Dev says, "I don't
every
think she's
detail
lying."
that could be used to my advantage. All of this was recorded in my mind.
A lot of things she's
I
saying
knew that
has
if I
been
wanted to
said, right?
survive, I would
By
have to
other
wait for the
victims,
right moment
alleged
to
victims.
escape. The men who worked for P. Diddy acted like they were invincible, but I knew that no
very
matter how
detailed.
powerful his network was, they weren't perfect. I needed to believe that, because that was the only hope that kept me alive. Inside me, even buried beneath fear, there was still a spark of resistance. One day, I would get out of that hell. And when that happened, I would tell the world the truth about P. Diddy and what he really was. I'd form when I noticed that one of the guards always left the warehouse door unlocked while bringing in supplies. He seemed unconcerned, confident that no one would have the courage or opportunity to use this loophole. I knew this was my chance. I waited for weeks, maybe months, until the moment was right. Meanwhile, I continued pretending to be the obedient girl they wanted. I smiled at parties, followed orders, and forced myself to endure, even when P. Diddy appeared with his calculating gaze, reminding me that he owned everything there, including my life. On the night of my escape attempt, fear almost paralyzed me. The sound of muffled music was coming from one of the parties upstairs.
This smells.
Okay, so let's stop right here for a minute. Let's compare. We've seen the pictures where there was an actual party going on, right? And so there's all these, celebrities and politicians and just everybody at these parties, right? We've seen images of that. We have seen images of that. And she's saying the same thing happened. But before we start going back to the audio, I want to point this out. Let's remind ourselves on how she even got here. It was at the lure of being in the modeling scene, the modeling agency, right? The fashion world. Now we do know that Puffy Jacket did have a clothing line. We do know that there's been other people. In fact, this one was a male, but he said that he had a meeting with Puffy Jacket, a agent or something like that, arranged for him to have a meeting with Puffy Jacket, and it was about modeling and as well as being in a video, a music video. So he was lured there for that. So that same thing is what she's saying. Like, she was lured to this place based on the grounds of that it was going to further her modeling career. Now, let's just go off what we know so we don't have to deal with could it be or could it not be. Let's just go with what we do know. We do know that there was shows on MTV that Puffy Jacket ran, and where he put groups of people together and put them in a group, a band, a singing group or a band, right? And they had to do certain tasks in order to, quote unquote, prove their loyalty to him. You understand? Good morning, Sharita. Welcome in. So basically, she's telling us the same environment, right? You have to do these things for him when he wants you to, you know. Marie says, just unsure what modeling had to do with entertainment. Right. I think, and again, I don't know for sure, but I think that was just his way of because knowing what she wanted to do, the assistant, who she says is Claire, she's saying Claire, and I'm almost wondering, Bestie, if she really means what did I say? The Coram, Christina Coram. Yeah, Christina Coram. I wonder if that's who she thinks Claire is, or if she's saying Claire in place of the. I don't. Or is there really a Claire? Is there a Claire and a Christina? Like, I don't know. That's why I was saying in the beginning, like, okay, I've never heard of Claire, but we need to find out who Claire is. Let's talk to Claire. Let's see what's going on with Claire. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't see how the two come together. I don't get it.
Lax than usual. I knew P. Diddy was there that night, overseeing yet another of his dark events. The idea of being caught by him terrified me, but I knew I couldn't hesitate. I waited for the exact moment when the guard left the warehouse door unlocked, and I entered quickly, holding my breath. Inside, there was a small, high window, my only exit. I used a stack of boxes to reach the glass, and with effort, I managed to open it. The cold night air rushed in, renewing my resolve. As I sneaked out, I heard voices in the hallway. My heart almost stopped when I recognized P. Diddy's voice, deep and authoritative. He was talking to Claire, ordering them to keep all the girls under extra surveillance. "I don't accept mistakes," he said. "If one of them escapes, it will be the end for you." With shaking hands, I pulled myself out the window and ran into the darkness. The terrain was uneven and full of obstacles, but fear drove me. Behind me, I heard the alarm sound, followed by the dogs barking.
Maybe that's why we
They
don't know
knew
who
I had
Claire
run
is.
away. "She's not going far," I heard P. Diddy's voice echo in the distance. "Bring her back, whole or not." Those words gave me strength to continue. He wasn't just a monster. He was a predator, someone who fed on people's fear and pain. But I wouldn't let him capture me again. I ran like never before, running through fences, falling and getting up, until I finally reached the road. I didn't know where I was going, but the only thing that mattered was getting as far away from that place as possible. When I finally saw the lights of a small town on the horizon, I collapsed to the ground, crying with relief. I had done it. For the first time in years, I was free from P. Diddy's clutches. But he knew that the real challenge was yet to come, exposing to the world.
This is the biggest.
All right, so with that being said, she's told us how she escaped, and she brings up a small town with lights. She saw a small town with lights. Now, and we've mentioned this before, how in a lot of occasions, not all people, but in some instances, in some places, LEOs are in on it as well. They already know what's going on, and when something like this or a victim like this comes to them, they're already aware, and they pretend like they're going to help the victim, when in actuality, they end up calling the abuser. The abuser comes to the police station and gives the LEOs a certain amount of money, and the LEOs allows the alleged victim to go back with the abuser. Right? In fact, we've heard that in one of the lawsuits. Marie says maybe she was just invited to one of his parties as a setup. Even so, she was too young to be in. Facts, bestie. Facts. In fact, at 16 years old, there's no way she should have been there. No way. And even when we're talking about signing contracts, of course, she got 16. She couldn't do that. But I guess in this particular setting, it doesn't matter. Laws go out the window. But yeah, I'm with you. 16, there's no reason to. Where are the parents? Why? 'Cause like I told y'all, as you all know, those that come in regular to my shows, as I told y'all, my son is now starting out doing his acting thing. By the way, he finished the first movie and was offered a role in the second movie, in another movie. So shout out to him on that. Congratulations to you on that, son. But even with that being said, I'm constantly like, hey, you're not going nowhere by yourself. Even when he was just filming this last movie, the first movie, I was constantly talking to his mother. Hey, y'all okay? You good? Where you at? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, he's not going by himself. And if his career trends higher, and as he gets into the room of, bigger things and bigger opportunities and more established people in the industry, I will be flying from Atlanta to LA. He's not going to go anywhere by himself. This is just not going to happen. So, and he's 19. He'll be 20 in August, and we still are not letting him go nowhere by himself. So, a 16-year-old by herself. What are we doing with our lives?
My escape was just the beginning. That night, as I ran down the road, I felt like every shadow, every sound was a sign that they were hunting me, and I knew they were. P. Diddy was not the kind of man who accepted flaws in his system. He had resources, influence, and people willing to do anything to keep his secrets buried. I managed to reach a small town, dirty and bloody, with my clothes torn and my face marked by terror. I found an open gas station, and the attendant, an elderly man, looked at me suspiciously, but also with concern. "Are you okay, girl?" he asked. I wanted to respond, tell everything, ask for help, but the words wouldn't come out. I borrowed a phone and called the police, but before I even finished the call, a strange feeling came over me. I knew they couldn't protect me. Who would believe a girl like me against someone like P. Diddy? He was.
Did you know paying your bills on time?
He's told people that, like, after those things happen, like, if you go to the police, they're not going to believe you because of who I am. Like, so, like, don't even waste your time. He said that.
Was untouchable. And worse, he was sure of it. The next day, the threats began. I was hiding in a cheap motel when my cell phone, which I didn't even know was still working, vibrated with a message from an unknown number.
Thank you, Marie.
You can't run away forever.
Marie says, love this.
We know where you are.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Bess.
My blood ran cold. He was already watching me, even outside that hell. I left the motel immediately, but I knew I was in a race against time. He had the resources to track me, to manipulate the authorities, to turn me into a fugitive. It wasn't just fear. It was as if he was always one step ahead of me, a predator hunting me relentlessly. In a desperate attempt, I went to a police station. I told part of my story, omitting names and details for fear of reprisal. The police officer who responded to me seemed genuinely concerned, but his expression soon changed as he made a few calls. He looked at me with a mixture of pity and hesitation. "You need to be very careful. There are powerful people involved in this," he said, without needing to say their names. I knew what that meant. Even if they wanted to help, no one would dare stand up to P. Diddy.
Hold on. What did I just say, people? What did I just say? What did I just say about LEOs? Hashtag I'm going to say it. Welcome to the show.
He had friends everywhere, people who would do anything to protect him. I wasn't just a girl escaping from captivity. I was a living threat to an empire built on lies, fear, and pain. The following weeks were a game of survival. He changed places constantly, never staying in the same place for more than one night. Every time I thought I was safe, something would happen. A car stopped in the street, an anonymous message on my cell phone, or even a stranger who seemed to watch me for too long. The worst moment happened when I was in a public library, researching ways to expose my story without being tracked. A man I had never seen before approached and whispered in my ear, "He knows you're here. You should have stayed where you belonged." I ran away, leaving everything behind. He wanted me to know that there was no escape completely, that his shadow would always be over me. P. Diddy wasn't just a man, he was an entity, an entire system dedicated to silencing anyone who dared challenge him. But despite the constant fear, I didn't give up. Inside me, the spark of resistance was still alive. I started documenting everything I remembered, names, places, events. If something happened to me, at least the truth would be on record. I knew telling my story would be dangerous, but it was the only way to fight the monster he was. Every day out of captivity was a victory, but I also knew that the battle was far
welcome to
from
the live.
over. P. Diddy wanted to silence me, but I was determined to make sure my voice was heard, even if it cost everything. Even away from captivity, P. Diddy continued to haunt me. It was as if his presence hovered over me, even when I was in crowded places. Every move I made seemed to be watched. Every attempt to tell my story was quickly silenced by forces that seemed larger than I could face. After months of running away, I realized I couldn't live like this anymore. Hidden, afraid of every shadow. I needed to find a way to expose what had happened. I knew it would put my life at risk, but the alternative was to live forever under the control of a man who thought he could do anything and get away with it. My first attempt to tell the truth was on an anonymous blog. I wrote down everything I remembered, the names, the places, the parties, and P. Diddy's role in the entire network. But a few days later, the blog was taken down without warning. I received a message on my cell phone.
Hold on, let me stop you all right there. So when she says she did an interview on the blog, right? And then she said that a couple of days later, the blog was gone. I'm going to walk you through some of that. Now, in some cases, when certain things happen, let's put it like that, when certain things happen and people are in a powerful position, they can go to whomever was giving an interview to her or anything like that. They can go to them and either offer them money to pull it down, or or in some cases they can just get it scrubbed. That's what they call it. They get it scrubbed off the internet. So you'll never be able to find it, you know? So when she says it disappeared, Sharita says we're better than any other woman. Yeah, she made it through. She made it through that, but I just want to get that out there because when some people will be like, "Well, why is it not there? Why can't we find?" And now I see why. That may be the reason why I can't find more stuff about her or on her. He very well could have had, and I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying he very well could have had it scrubbed because at that time in that position, he was able to do those kind of things. Hold on, Sheree says no. What I said. Good. Yeah, I am. Oh, you saying you're doing better, bestie? I got no read what all I said. I got than any other woman. We're better. And then before that, you said good. Are you saying you doing better?
You are playing with fire. Stop before you burn yourself. The tone was clear. They knew what I was doing, and they would do everything to silence me. P. Diddy's power wasn't just money or connections. He had built a protective network that made him almost invincible.
Oh,
Journalists,
yeah, they may have deleted
lawyers,
it, bestie.
even law enforcement figures.
They've been
seemed
filtering
to be
a lot
on
of
his
comments
side.
on here lately.
Still, I kept trying. I found an independent journalist who seemed willing to hear my story.
Message me though. Put
We
it in
met
the
in
message.
secret in a remote cafe, and I told her everything. For the first time, I felt like someone truly believed in me. This needs to be told, she said. But before we could move forward, she disappeared. It simply disappeared. Days later, I received an email from an anonymous sender. Did you really think she could help? No one can. That message destroyed me inside. P. Diddy didn't even need to hide. He played on fear, on the power of his reputation, and knew he could destroy anyone who tried to challenge him. But he didn't know that. At that point,
Chris
I
Grammatic,
was
welcome
already...
to the live, brother.
I just made a $27 ebook.
What I tell y'all, it's like people are in, like, people that's in high positions, people that are supposed to be in position to help and has taken oaths to help victims like that. They be in on it. They be in on it. How many? There's been other lawsuits where these victims have said that and again, people, allegedly, he told them, hey, if you go to the cops, there's no reason really to go to them. They're not going to believe you. Look at you. Look who you are. You're nobody. I'm Puffy Jacket. Not me. Definitely not me. Not me. But, I'm Puffy Jacket. My status, they not going to believe anything you say. I'm just saying. And then look what happened. Look what she says.
Every message, every attempt at silencing, every step of the way, everything was documented. Even though he had managed to silence others, I was determined to make sure that if something happened to me, the world would know what he really was. I made one more attempt. This time I recorded a video with my face showing. I looked into the camera and told my story in detail, without hiding anything. P. Diddy, the man the world saw as an icon, was a monster behind the scenes. I knew posting that video would be like signing my sentence, but I also knew that if I didn't, I would be allowing him to continue hurting other people. When I published the video, I turned off all notifications. For days, I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know if people had watched, if they believed me, or if he was already coming after me again. Then something unexpected happened. The video went viral. People started commenting, sharing, and even other girls started coming forward with similar stories. For the first time, I felt that maybe he wasn't as invincible as he believed. But at the same time, threats have increased. Anonymous messages, cars parked near where I was, and even attempts to break into the place where I was hiding. P. Diddy was furious, and his power was still real. I knew the fight wasn't over yet, but at that moment, something inside me changed. For the first time, it wasn't just me against him. Other voices were joining mine, and the truth he had tried so hard to hide was finally coming out of the shadows. Today, at 32 years old, when I look back, I can hardly believe that I survived. The 16-year-old girl, full of dreams, was destroyed by a man who used his position of power to control and silence people like me. P. Diddy, the icon admired by so many, was a true monster, but now, finally, I can say I'm free. After publishing my video and seeing the impact it had, something inside me changed. For the first time in years, I felt like I had a voice again, and that voice could make a difference. It wasn't easy. He tried in every way to destroy my credibility. His lawyers accused me of slander, his team spread lies about me on the internet, and people I had never met started attacking me. But I was no longer alone. Other survivors began to speak out, and together our voices grew stronger. Influential people began to support our stories. Investigative journalists began to gather evidence, and slowly, the myth of P. Diddy's invincibility began to crumble. He was still trying to reach me, of course. I received countless death threats, and every time I left the house, I looked over my shoulder. But now, I had something he couldn't take from me: courage. He spent years trying to silence me, but the more he fought against the truth, the more the world saw who he really was. Over time, I managed to recover. I started going to therapy, something that, at first, seemed impossible. Dealing with trauma was a long and painful process, but with each session, I felt as if a piece of the weight I was carrying was being lifted. I don't feel completely cured. I don't know if I ever will. But today, I can live without the constant fear that consumed me for so long. My story also gave me purpose. I began working with organizations that help victims of trafficking and abuse, using my experience to support others who have gone through what I went through. I know not all survivors have the opportunity to tell their stories.
Hey, cuz, how you doing?
I promised myself I would do everything I could
Did you enjoy
to
your
be their
birthday?
voice. As for P. Diddy, he continues to try to clean up his image, but the allegations have grown so much that he is finally being investigated. I don't know if he will face justice, not in the way he deserves. Men like him have the resources and power to avoid real consequences. But the world knows who he is now. And that, for me, is already a victory. Today, I live with a sense of freedom that seemed impossible a few years ago. I'm not completely cured, but I'm at peace with my story. I know that facing a monster like P. Diddy was one of the hardest things I've ever done. but I also know that in exposing his true colors, I did something that no one can ever erase. If you're listening to this, know that the truth is powerful, even when it seems impossible to say. P. Diddy tried to destroy my life, but today, I'm here, alive, strong, and finally free from his clutches.
No offense.
Listen, now that you said okay, you're doing okay, and yes, you had a good birthday. Good, cuzzo. Good, good. I love you. I love you to life. So now, after I have had the opportunity to listen, that was my first time listening to that, people. So we all took that in at the same time together. And after listening, again, we all are entitled to our own opinions. And my opinion is, I believe her. I believe her. And as I said before, if you all like to go back and listen in case there's something you missed or couldn't hear, or maybe I was talking in the middle of something, you missed something, so you go to YouTube, look for Investigation Stories. And the title, you'll see, it'll say, I'm going to say Puffy Jacket, but it's not going to say that. It's going to say his other name. But Puffy Jacket's victim who escaped reveals what she had to do. And at the end, she actually shows a picture of herself. So it's not a cartoon at the end or artist rendering or anything like that. It's actually her. And so now what I want to do on my end, I'm going to do a deeper dive on that, because at the surface, like I said, at the surface, I couldn't see anything pretty much. But I'm going to go search some other places and see if I can find more. I would like to see the video she said she posted. Marie says we need to start believing that's why they got away with so much, because we didn't believe them. Amen. Amen to that, bestie. Amen to that. And to see that she had, and by the way, let's give it up. Let's give it up for Emily Collins. I mean, for her even coming out, having the courage after everything she's been through, to come out and give her story. And it has helped, as we see other people coming out. Other victims are feeling compelled to come out. There's just a lot of things in what she said that is, even when she was saying there would be cars parked outside of where she was hiding out at. Well, we can go back to the, hold on. Hold on. Let me find her name. Let me find her name. Now I can't find her name. But I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't think of her name, but it was the young lady that was, uh 1999 at the club that had Puffy Jacket, J Lo, and Shine. Remember, she got in her face, and she said that it was Puffy Jacket that did it. Correct? But she also said that there was, um cars parked outside of her house, basically trying to silence her. Man, I wish I could find her name. I like to give you all facts. I like to. Anybody in here in the live that know her name, please put that in there, because I can't remember it, and for some reason I'm not able to find it. You know what? I'm not gonna. I got to find it. I got to find it. I'm like, I'm not going. Okay, so her name is Natanya Rubin. Natanya Rubin, the one who was like in the face, and so she said he did it, but then he had people like come again, allegedly, people come parked in front of her house to like when she look out her window, she would see these dark SUVs and stuff, basically trying to intimidate her into not testifying or saying it was him. And so when Miss Collins, I'm gonna call her Miss Collins because I'm not sure if she's married or not, but if she is, I apologize for that. I'm not trying to disrespect her name or anything like that, but um, it goes to what Miss Collins is saying her in her story when she was saying that there was cars parked outside of where she was hiding. It's the same thing, same tactics, the same tactics that she stated. It has been stated that he's done to other victims. So that's all we had. I actually had a second segment to go into, but we'll probably pick up on that tomorrow. We got through this, and this was, I try to hold you on only for an hour. I know you all have a life to live, but so we'll probably do segment 2. What I have for segment 2 today, that'll probably be tomorrow's episode. So, but that's all we have. Remember, the name is Emily Collins. Emily Collins. And once again, to her, we want to say peace and blessings to her. We pray for her strength and her courage to continue and to continue standing up for what's right and fighting this battle here. But here we are, people. We're rapidly approaching May 5th. We're rapidly approaching May 5th. And just as we said back in February, after that court appearance, that things were going to start heating up and things was going to start coming out that was going to basically, for lack of better words, be blockbuster information. So I wonder if will she be called to testify? And if so, how damaging her testimony will be. I don't know, guys. But remember, YouTube. Go on YouTube and investigate. What did I say it was? Make sure I tell you all the right thing. Go on YouTube. Look up investigation stories, and you will see Miss Collins' video on there giving her account and her experience of what she had to go through. I'm not going to say anything else in order, but we'll leave it right there. Deb says, have a great day, my friend, and others too. Thank you, bestie, and you have a great day as well. And like I said, we pray that your grandson starts to feel better. It is our prayer that our Lord and Savior put his healing hands upon your grandson and nurses him back to full health. For he is the medicine that we all need, right? So thank you all for joining me. This has been Mr. Breaking News. I am your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, Mr. Breaking News, reporting from the newsroom. You all have a blessed day.